probably is worth saying that you're on a build that of the game that is a development build. So we have
Yes.
tools and powers in our development build that aren't necessarily available to the general public.
Yeah, we're in full cheat mode right now.
Yeah, one of them being able to warp at will to whatever area we would like to in the game. I'm going to take a quick opportunity before we dive in to just mention again that I feel like I'm on a telethon, but since we're doing this to sort of get the word out that this new version of Myst is on sale on Steam for the first time, I figured it's worth mentioning. The Steam version, again, as I mentioned at the top of the last episode, it is that with the Steam version, you'll get the PC version, the PCVR version, as well as the Mac version. And our Mac version is optimized for the Mac M1 chipset. We're one of the few apps that are there at this point, and we're super proud of that. So with that out of the way, let's dive back into the mechanical age.
Operators are standing by, waiting for your call.
Operators are standing by.
I just realized, because you just mentioned this is a internal development build, and as such, there are some bugs in the current build that I did not realize were showing up. I just realized there's some lighting issues on the exterior of this. If I back up, you can see it and get engulfed in shadow, which is interesting because we're fighting some similar bugs on the quest build, and this has me go like, oh, I wonder if this is related. So I'm going to resist going over to our company message board and immediately trying to troubleshoot the problem.
All right, put a pin in it. You can get back to it later.
Yep.
Having said that, I bet if you hadn't pointed out, nobody would have noticed.
Oh, somebody would have.
Yeah.
This is the mechanical age. What would we like to do here?
We can
walk
what
around.
Would we like to do here? Let me sort of look at my batch of questions. Well, this is a no, I'll save that one for Stone Ship. So can you talk a little bit about the accessibility in Myst and what's been added? I know that, I mean, obviously I know because I've been touting it on the interwebs for the last year, but there's a lot of accessibility that has been brought to this version of the game that hasn't been there before. Is that something that you can dive into?
I had not a whole ton to do with it, but I'm happy to talk about it. This the subtitling in this one is significantly improved to the point where we've even some of the puzzles in Myst, as you may or may not know, have to do with audio cues. And for hearing impaired people, there was never really a way to play the game without not being able to play the game.
Right.
And so we've been able to go in and add subtitling, not just in English, but in a variety of languages for players who that assists. And it's been really, we got some fantastic response from people on that front. In addition, I don't know if it's necessarily adding a feature, but we are constantly talking about accessibility issues when it comes to control schemes, especially even in VR, not requiring two-hand interactions because there are players who may not be able to use both hands. And so that's kind of an ongoing conversation. Whenever we have a new thing we want to implement, a new feature, a new way of interacting with the game, there's always a voice in the room saying like, well, what about players who blah 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 blah, right? And trying to come up with ways to accommodate that. And even if we want to talk about accessibility just purely across the spectrum of VR players, there are some VR players who can play full free move, like vomit comet, make you sick games, and they love it. They have no queasiness whatsoever. Then there are players who, like, even any movement whatsoever will immediately make them sick, and everything has to be done via a hard teleport. And we try to accommodate everybody on that spectrum, and we try to give them a variety of options that they can opt in or opt out of. Things like, I don't think there's any ladders in this age, but whether or not we're asking the player to physically traverse the ladder rungs, or whether you can just click on the ladder and you will either automatically go to the top or be teleported to the top. All of those are options and different levels of comfort want different things, and that's true of also 2D mode, right? So somebody who doesn't really want to have to watch the animation, we can warp them to just accept. All of that to me falls under the umbrella of accessibility.
Sure, absolutely. One of the things that I have definitely seen on the Twitters is folks commenting on, oh, there's subtitling for the sound, or there's subtitling for colors where it's important, and those are, I don't know, highly appreciated if nothing else. So,
I love hearing from people saying like, oh, really appreciate that you guys did that. It's like awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there here's what I'll say about mechanical. Like you care, but here's what I'll say about mechanical is prior to this version of the game, it was my least favorite area. I felt like, oh man, this is the one area that there wasn't a lot to do, and there wasn't a lot to look at.
It's the smallest stage. Yeah.
There's a lot of tunnels and even frankly, just I guess speaking as a player, I often found myself confused as to which tunnel I was in. Am I in on the Cirrus side, or on the on the Aknar side, or what have you? And in this version, it has become my favorite area. I love the mechanical look that you guys added there. It feels like so much got added just in the aesthetic to make it like not just mechanical by name, but mechanical in look and feel.
This age was almost entirely, and I say almost because there's a lot of prop work that was added as well, but in terms of the actual rooms and structures, almost entirely this was Blake Bierke's baby. He's a awesome hard surface modeler, and just has an eye for this heavy industry stuff. And let me just rotate the fortress real quick if I can remember how to do that. And so early on, I saw an opportunity to really just like let him flex a little bit, and it was like, hey Blake, you want to take a swing at this age? And he knocked it out of the park. Like what you see here is almost entirely like of the structure. It's all Blake. Jeremiah and some other artists did a ton of prop work and filler work. Not filler, but it's it's crucial. But it's the stuff that goes inside the building itself, I'll say. But yeah, full credit to Blake for just crushing this. This is one of my favorite spaces in the game now, by the way. Speaking of places that changed, in the original, this gear room, it was a little tiny QuickTime postage stamp video of like some gears spinning on the far side of the room. And we talked about it, and I wanted this, like, I want the player surrounded by gears. I want it to feel like an OSHA violation, right. Don't stick your hand over there. Right, because you're gonna lose it. Yeah. And Blake crushed it. This is exactly just like this thing would do to your hand. He crushed it. Yes. Love it. Okay, let me see if I can remember how to rotate the fortress.
All right. Nobody's judging you. Don't worry. Nobody's looking, going, no, that's not the way you. Oh.
I think I got it to do a quarter rotation. We'll see. I don't know if I need to pull that handle back. I don't think I do. Oh yeah, it made the ding sound. You couldn't hear it, but it went ding.
There we go.
That's my doorbell making the ding
that's
sound.
The doorbell dinging. All of a sudden, I was like, wait, I can hear that. Hey, I'm not supposed to be able to hear that.
I just unlocked my doorbell. Cool. Now, if I did it right, I should be able to walk out the front door and go to a different little outpost. Yep.
Yes. Cool. Good job. Well done. Spoiler alerts. Well done.
Oh, don't look at the building because it's going to render wrong. It's going to stick in my craw. And then we get the clues out here. So, from this angle, it doesn't even seem too incorrect.
Oh.
Yeah, this was
it's backlit by the sun.
I'm with you on mechanical. Like to me, this is the flavor of mechanical that I've always really wanted to capture, and I did it day lit rather than super stormy, and people have have griped a little bit about the atmosphere here, or about the honestly in the atmosphere in all of the ages, because we deviated from some of the flavor of the original.
Sure, and that question's coming. So I elected to save that one for Stone Chip, because
that
was a pretty drastic change. One of the things that a lot of people have commented on about mechanical specifically, and it's a little thing, but I think it's an important indicator of the level of detail that you and your team achieved, is the little oil slick in the water. And how immersing it is to kind of be looking around going, wait, there's an oil slick on the water.
I picked a really bad, we're at a bad rotation, because you can't,
you have fly mode, so you
that's
know, you
true.
can just go
all right,
wherever you want.
I guess we're doing this. Let's see what I can get to unload.
Oh man,
we can see a little bit of it there. Yeah. So this started from a discussion that I had with Blake again, who's the guy who built most of this stuff, about, because originally the water inside this gear area was just as wavy, right? It was just the same waves crashing through, and
which doesn't make sense.
No, does not make sense. And we got called out by our QA team, our awesome QA team, who will make a note of everything, whether we want them to or not. Bless their hearts. They called it out too. And we have a rule around here where it's like, well, let's try it, and if we hear back from QA, we'll change it. And they let us know, like, that seems weird. And so we tried a couple things. We tried the first thing we tried was to make it sort of like grimy. In fact, it was we used a similar material to the one that we'll see in a little bit in Channelwood, where it was like grimy and scummy. Okay, but that didn't make sense either.
Right.
And so we took a couple swings at it, and I think, I can't remember if I came up with the oil thing or if Blake did, but we came up with this idea of like, well, if it's a big mechanical thing, they have to keep it lubricated. What if it's got this accumulation of like almost gasoline, looking stuff. And so I just whipped up a little shader that I think it's a decal that just sits on there and does a very slow, like, rainbow color cycle. So it's not accurate for real, prismatic lighting or whatever, but just enough. And I can barely see it from where I am, but just enough of a little color cycle that it makes your brain go like, oh, I think there's gasoline on top of that water, or there's oil on top of that water.
Right. Adds that level of groundedness to it.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a mechanical thing. There would be oil in a slick of some variety.
My heart grows two sizes when people call that out, though. They're like, hey, love that oil. Like, somebody noticed it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as much fun as it's been to party around in mechanical for a few minutes, I think it is time to move on.
Don't you? Let's spin the wheel and see where we end up. All right.
See where we end up.
I'm going to hit this button.